stop second guessing yourself. Stop second guessing yourself. Second guessing yourself is ruining your mental health. Let's talk about it. Okay. So, in our society, we're taught there's a right way to do things. There's a wrong way. There's a way that you can mess it up. There's what you should be doing. There's what you shouldn't be doing. There's all of these rules about what we are supposed to be doing in life. But what happens with that is that it creates this constant second guessing confusion. And when we are second guessing ourselves, we are in turn questioning our own internal guidance. Now, I'm going to back up and I'm going to call you out because when we are following that intuitive gut instinct, when we're following that intuitive guidance, we know what the right move is. We know what it is that we want to do, step into. We know when things are going the way that they're supposed to be going. We know when they're not going the way that they're supposed to be going. Okay, so an example, when I was working in my corporate job, I had moved towards being in that corporate job. I had made the moves, took the steps, following my intuition to get into that corporate job. It was magical the way that it worked out. Once I got there, very quickly, my whole inner world was like, this is not how life is supposed to be. Okay, now that's confusing, right? Because if your intuition leads you to a destination, then shouldn't it be like magic, rainbows, and sunshine? That intuition leading me to that destination was a stepping stone for me to arrive where I am today. Now, here's how it all pieces together. When we follow our intuition, when we're not second guessing, do this, go there, listening to those first little instincts that are telling us what we need to be doing, it is going to maneuver us in the fastest way possible to exactly where we need to be. Never once are we taught, trust your own intuitive guidance. Trust the feelings in your body. Trust that the vision you have for your life is exactly where you need to go. And so what happens is we end up ignoring our inner world. And in doing that, we end up veering off of our path. When we veer off of our path, that's when we start hitting these hurdles. That's when we start hitting these sufferable challenges. And then we wonder, what did I do wrong? Most of us have spent the majority of our lives unconsciously questioning our decisions, right? Most of us have spent the majority of our lives wondering, should I have done that rather than this? And even in the present moment, am I supposed to be doing something different? These questions that we ask ourselves all the time are an unconscious rejection of the decisions we've made thus far. When we second guess ourselves, we are constantly keeping ourselves in this looping pattern that we don't even want to be in, but we are doing it because we're thinking there's a right way. There's a right way and there's a wrong way. But here's how it actually works. Every step of the way, you're receiving intuitive guidance. When you can listen to that intuitive guidance quickly, it's going to guide you to exactly where you want to be. It's going to take you to the route where it is going to work out for you seamlessly in the best and fastest way possible. But most of us, because we're human, we don't listen to our intuitive guidance right off. We end up second guessing ourselves. And then we throw some logic in there. We've got society's voice. We've got our parents' voice. We've got the should voice all coming in a few seconds after we received what our intuitive guidance tells us to do. So here's the thing though, even when you make a decision that isn't the intuitive guidance, when you make a decision that is the overthinking, not guidance, the overthinking and following the should energy, you still receive intuitive guidance. So I'm going to tell you today the way that you can know what the right decision is in following your intuitive guidance every single time. When you're at a crossroads of something where you're not sure what to do, could you do this or could you do that? If you stand at that crossroads and you think about your two options, which there's probably always more, but we kind of think in terms of polarity. It's just the way that we're programmed. You can do this or that. If one decision, go there in your mind, one decision, and you think about making that decision, if it still feels like chaos, if it still feels like overthinking, it's not the decision. It's not the way. If you make the other decision and it feels like peace, that is your way. That's how you can know every single time. It's when we make a decision and then we're still thinking, did I make the right decision? That's following that ego voice. That's following that should voice. That's following that one that isn't your intuitive guidance. That is not the one that's saying, this is the way for you to go. But when you make the decision and it feels like peace, the mind chatter goes away. That's how you know you're following your own intuitive guidance. Intuitive guidance feels peaceful, it feels calm, even when the decision doesn't make sense. A lot of times the decision doesn't make sense, amen, which is why we second guess ourselves, because we've been conditioned and trained into a different way of being and thinking. But a lot of times your intuitive guidance is going to take you on a path that wasn't planned. It's going to take you on a path that no one else is going on. It's going to take you on a path that everything that you have been raised in thus far says, that's crazy. What are you doing? You can't do that. Because your intuition is guiding you for your path, the fastest and best and most beautiful unfolding of your path, not the entire world's path. But when we have this programming where we're afraid to do it differently than other people around us, we're afraid of not fitting in, we're afraid of being bold, being seen in our power, being seen and being different, that second guessing muscle pops up. Why? Because it's trying to keep us safe. It's our survival mechanism. It's our survival mechanism coming online. But here's what I'm going to tell you. The more that you follow your intuitive guidance, the more that you're going to build that trust muscle with yourself. And that is that feeling of calm stability in your body. That's that feeling of, I got me. Even if I make the wrong decision, I got me. I'll handle it. I've got it. No worries. The more that you follow those intuitive nudges, one, your life's going to get a lot easier. Okay. Life's going to get a whole lot easier. But two, what you're actually doing with that is saying, I trust myself. Do we feel it? Every time you follow your own intuitive guidance, you're building a muscle inside of you that says, I trust myself. Every time you second guess yourself and you don't follow your own intuitive instincts, you're building a muscle inside of you that says, I can't be trusted. Do we feel it? So the more that I don't second guess, the more that I go with my instincts, the more that I trust my intuitive guidance that's coming through all the time, the more I'm building that inner stability in me, the more I trust me, the more I trust that feeling. And you're going to get to know that feeling the more that you follow it, because the more that you follow it, the more you're going to trust it. But also you're going to get really familiar with these very distinctive feelings. So an example, there is a feeling that I get that is so signature, and it's always when something is not the way. And it's tough. I'm going to tell you it's tough because sometimes you really, really want something and you're like, oh, I could make it work. I could make it, like, force it into place. But this very signature feeling for me, what it feels like is like, okay, so an example, we had bought plane tickets to Hawaii back in right before shutdown happened. So back in 2020, right before shutdown happened, planes were still going. So it wasn't like serious yet. And I just had this feeling, and it was well, we could make it work feeling. You feel it already. You see it already, right? Like we could make it work though. And it felt like chaos. It felt like I couldn't see a clear picture of us going. It felt like I was going to have to maneuver things around. It felt like I was going to have to force the energy to move that way. It's a very signature feeling. But as you can imagine, like, it's Hawaii. We had already bought the plane tickets. We're not going to go? Like, what? Well, we all know how the story goes. Lo and behold, in the next couple of months, the whole country shut down, the whole world shut down, and we weren't going anyway. But do you see what I'm saying? The feeling that I had was I would have to make it happen. There wasn't a flow. And when we're in intuitive guidance, there's a flow. Even when our intuition is guiding us to do something that's scary, there's still like this push energy. Do you know what I mean? There's this energy that's like, no, that's the way though. That's the way though. But when it's not the way, it will feel as though it's pushing against you. And you're trying to push and make it happen. You're trying to push it into place, force the energy to go that way. So when we get more in tune with following our intuitive guidance, with not second guessing, although it's human, I'm going to tell you right now it's human, but you can choose to stop exercising the muscle of doubting yourself and start exercising the muscle of trusting yourself. Because the more that you choose to do it, the more that you will get in line with you, your aligned path, the path that's made for you. And then there's no way, like, you will get to a point where, like, there's no way you can go against your intuitive action. This is a conversation in our household all the time. My husband and I, like, when we're making decisions, I just don't have a good feeling. It feels like force is a valid reason to not do something, like more valid than anything else, right? Like, it feels like I'm trying to force it. Okay, then don't do it. Then don't do it. It's probably the most valid reason in our house because we've learned through trial and error. Anytime you try to force something into place, it never turns out how you want it to. It never turns out how you want it to. Now, I think we need to make the distinction here because there's a big difference between putting in work, like putting in work because we got to do work, and forcing something to happen. Forcing something to happen, again, feels like something's pushing against you. Everything in you is like, mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. Like you're having to make yourself do it the whole way. Putting in work is, this is the way, let's get to work. Like, it's fun. It feels like something you want to do. When we're following that intuitive guidance path, no matter how much work it takes, it feels good. It feels like invigoration. It feels like, let's go. This is the path I want to be on. So the more that we start trusting that feeling, the less we're going to second guess ourselves. Amen. The less we're going to be like, oh, but maybe I'm wrong. And I want to tell you, like, it's not your fault per se, because when we're growing up, we're kind of told we're wrong a lot. You know what I mean? Like, we're kids. We're like, you don't know anything. You don't know. I know better. We're trained to second guess ourselves. Do you know what I mean? Because, when we're growing up, we're learning the world. We don't know everything. But at some point in your life, you have to get to the point where you start prioritizing that inner world of what you know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what you know deep inside over all of these things outside of you that you maybe keep checking. You know what I'm saying? Like, you keep checking to make sure that it's the right way. You keep checking in with, do you think this is the right decision? Do you think I made the right decision? We have to stop doing that because it's betrayal to ourselves. It's betrayal to yourself. And then that creates a split in your power, meaning a split in you where you're never fully in trust with you. And then therefore, you're never fully in trust with life. When you trust yourself, you'll trust life. Because if you trust yourself, anything in life, you got it. I got it. How important is this, especially as women? Especially when we're going outside of the normal box. Like, if you're stepping outside of the norm, You're starting a business, you're showing up online, you're speaking your truth, you're owning your power, you're leading. When you're stepping outside of the box like that, trusting yourself is your number one attribute. You've got to be able to trust yourself. I know in all of my coaching containers, the number one reason, I'm going to say it bluntly. The number one reason that I am so good at what I do when coaching my clients is because I trust what I'm receiving. Always, always, I trust the intuitive hits I get. And every single time that I have spoken them to them, they are like, that's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly what I've been going through. That's exactly what I've been feeling. That comes from trusting myself. If I second guessed myself, I would be like, oh, well, maybe, I don't know. Could it? Well, I don't know. It's probably not this, but is that powerful? No, right? Our power, hear me, ladies, our power comes from trusting ourselves. Our power comes from trusting ourselves. The more that we can trust ourselves, the more we can do in this world. The more we can trust ourselves, the more that we can trust life. The more we can trust ourselves, the more we can lead others. The more we can trust ourselves, the more risks we can take. The more we can trust ourselves, the more money we're going to make. The more we can trust ourselves, the more we can do. And that comes from starting to build that muscle with yourself. You've got to build that relationship within you. It's a you to you game. It's not a you to out there game. It's a you to you game. It's a how much do I believe and trust that I can create what I want to create, that my intuition is guiding me seamlessly, that I can handle whatever I move towards, that I can trust the feelings in my body when they tell me, that's not the way you're trying to force that. This is the way. This is where the energy is flowing you. How much I can trust myself is going to be a direct equative factor to how much power I have in my being, to how much I can do in this world, to how much I can create, to how much I can impact. Amen. So stop second guessing. You can literally make a just decision right now. I'm done. I'm done second guessing myself. I will not do it anymore. If I make a wrong decision, so be it. I'll figure it out. Do you see how that's still trusting yourself? How cool is that? It's not, I trust myself to always make the right decisions. You can't ever know that. It's, I trust myself. And if I make a wrong decision, I'll figure it out because I trust myself. Isn't it so much better? Woo! All right, loves. Thank you so much for being here live on a Wednesday. And if you want to come into my world and work with me, you can check out all of the information. Look in the show notes below. We are in early enrollment right now for the Spiritual Coach Training Program. This is a 6-month training program on how to coach your clients with the mechanisms of energetics and mindset and identity work. It is absolutely phenomenal. So if you are interested in learning this work to coach your clients through transformation, you can come and check that out. Bye, guys.